Hey, I'm Jess Willie. I'm a TV and media critic who occasionally branches out to other stuff. I've got some pretty cool friends. A little strange, maybe, but cool. There's Nick, an AI copy of a buddy of mine from college that I installed on my smart TV. He's supposed to keep the show on track, but he spends more time watching Brazilian cooking shows. There's King Ralph Detritus, an old toy from my childhood who is somehow alive. And he rules a massive underground kingdom from a stronghold in my basement. There's Zylogaphia P. Robinson. She's a magical winter elf who started out as an observer from the International Internet Reviewers Guild, but she sorta went native. So if you want to know the story, go and watch the back catalog. If you're just interested in a review of the thing you clicked on, sit back, relax, and don't ask questions. Or if you have questions, leave them in the comments. Maybe I'll answer. The only question you can be sure I'm gonna answer is, did I get what I paid for? It's time to pick our next thing to review. Are we continuing on foreign films?
Yeah, I'm not going to let you have more than 2 of the 4 categories open at a time. Ow! Ow! What are you doing?
I'm adjusting your randomizer.
Yeah, don't. That hurts.
Hold on. Almost done. No countries where English is the primary language.
Okay. Just keep your magic out of my virtual frontal cortex.
No silent movies.
Sorry, Jess.
Hey Silo, can you restrict it to countries where we can get a giant monster movie?
On it.
I don't think that's realistic. How many countries make those? More than you'd think. Really? Name one from India. Godzilla.
Italy?
Yeti giant of the 20th century.
Denmark.
Reptilicus. Thailand. Garuda.
South Korea?
Ape.
North Korea.
Pulgasari. But we're not watching that. I refuse unless we can find a way to do so without supporting the DPRK.
Okay. There. Should give us something truly foreign now.
Let's get it going.
And I'm telling you, there is no way we can do a kaiju movie. After all, we only got radar noise that I'm assuming Jess will put in.
Are you saying we can't find a giant monster movie from Japan?
Whoa! Forget your local knockoffs. There are no Gogalas or Gorgos or Yongeres for us. No, sir. We're not just doing a giant monster movie. We're doing the giant monster movie. Gojira. You mean Godzilla? No, Godzilla is the name of the American cut. We're doing the Japanese version with subtitles. Thanks to all the things American producers either cut out of the film or added to it, this feels like a totally different movie. You see, Japan was just emerging from the US occupation when...
No, we don't have time to get into post-war Japanese politics for one of your awful history segments.
I was actually interested for once.
Well, it's not just a time thing. We've got an emergency broadcast signal incoming.
A kaiju warning has been issued for the following areas: Arlington County, Virginia, Washington, D.C., Prince George's County, Maryland, Montgomery County, Maryland.
Our story begins with somebody farting in the bathtub? No, wait, it's just a peaceful fishing voyage, followed by boom! 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 Yeah, the ship goes down. But luckily, the Japanese Navy was monitoring it. They send another ship out to investigate. They even wake this guy, a captain of a salvage vessel, up, and man, is his girlfriend not happy about it. They send this ship out, and well, is there a word for doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result?
Insanity. The word you're looking for is insanity.
Yeah, that's it. A mob forms down at the naval base. They want to know what happened to both crews. Between those two ships, half of the able bodied male population is gone. But they still complain that maybe, just maybe, the Japanese military should have sent more than two ships. The Navy guys and the mob simply talk each other to death. Meanwhile, the Coast Guard rescues some survivors,
Yeah, all three of them.
while Fox News and 4chan run amok with rumors. All anyone knows for sure is that they've been taken to Odo Island.
Oh, that's so cool. The security chief from DS9 is an island.
Hey, no man is an island. Villagers spot a raft. They yell at it, and that somehow makes it come faster.
That's what Godzilla and King Kong said when they had that freeway with Mothra.
The salvage freighter captain is on it. He says a giant monster sank the ship, and then he dies. So the town goes all Quint in Jaws after this Gojira thing. Now, after that, you would think the Japanese military would send naval investigators or something. Nope. Instead, we get a plucky crew from the Tokyo Times. They go there to see the obligatory native dance sequence. Oh, they claim it's an exorcism for the monster, but we know what it really is. Padding until the storm comes. The roof starts shaking. We hear that boom, boom again. We get that music and a panicking crowd. Oh boy, here comes.
Nope. False alarm.
The council talking about things we don't get to see. What they know, what they don't. Oh yeah, and something about a dinosaur. Dr. Yamani, the local paleontologist, explains that cold weather conditions plus weird sands plus native worship multiplied by nuclear bomb testing equals a living atomic lizard? Makes sense to me. So they send another team to Odo Island to investigate. Only this time they're smart. They hold the victory parade before they leave. That way the crew can enjoy it. Yeah, they are almost certain that none of these people are coming back. You can tell that's why they're doing it that way because this couple talks about how safe the whole trip is going to be. The island is a dump. It's worse than Florida.
Florida might be a fish hole, but you gotta give it some credit. I don't think you actually need a Geiger counter.
Says someone who's never been to Fort Lauderdale.
Dr. Yamani finds two cool things: radioactive footprints and a live trilobite. He's so excited by that he starts digging to see if he can find an excadrill. The team doesn't even notice that the local villagers are running away, or hear that loud boom, boom noise. That's right, there he is. And then the investigative team runs away. We cut to a lecture on dinosaurs. Since Jeff Goldblum isn't involved, most people think it's a total snooze fest. They somehow managed to sleep through all this talk of atomic flame breath. Most of the people who are awake think he's some kind of crackpot. The mayor says, look, even if you're right, let's not tell anyone about this. It'll only trigger a mass panic and make us look weak on the international front. We can't have that. This woman, who clearly lost family in one of Gojira's previous attacks, says, wouldn't that just get more people killed? Gojira might be an animal, but you, sir, are a monster. The panic the mayor was trying to avoid happens anyway. The Japanese military sends everything it has at Gojira. They say they can handle this crisis without any help from the outside world. That's all well and good, but I don't know what they're trying to accomplish firing torpedoes at, well, nothing. But the professor's daughter Emiko and her friends find it really entertaining to watch on TV. Her friend asks, why isn't the professor eating anything? Emiko's boyfriend says he's mad. He doesn't want the military killing Gojira. Her friend says, huh? Emiko goes to check on her father. She asks, do you need anything? He says, nah, I'm good. I just want to sit here brooding alone in the dark silence.
He took the same normal human social behavior course as Susan Foreman.
But we're off to Tokyo. There's this fancy riverboat nightclub at the docks. Everybody's dancing, and then boom! Boom! And the next day, the council has another meeting. They want to kill Gojira. Dr. Yamane says, why? He's an ancient dinosaur. I'd rather figure out how he's managed to survive so long. Imagine what we could learn by studying him. At the newspaper, Ogata, Emiko's boyfriend, and the other reporters are sitting around talking about things. Some of them agree with Dr. Yamane. Gojira could be a scientific treasure trove that could lead to discoveries that will change the course of humanity's future. Everyone else says, yeah, but he's killing people in the here and now. The editor comes in and says, yo, Yogata, I need you to go talk to this reclusive scientist, Dr. Shirazawa. After all, your girlfriend is kinda sorta his fiancée, right? Ogata says, isn't leveraging my personal connections to get an interview ethically dubious? He says, not if you ask your girlfriend's okay first. He goes to see Emiko. She says, for the last time, I'm only engaged to Dr. F because my father wants me to marry him. Ogata says, so you don't think if it weren't for the way Shirazawa's PTSD changed him, you two would... She says, no, I don't like him that way. He's more like my big brother. He says, cool, because my boss wants me to go talk to him, but he won't return my calls. Do you think you could pull some strings for me? She says, okay, I was going to break up with them over text, but I guess I could do it in person. They drive out to this shack in the middle of nowhere. It is the messiest bachelor pad I've ever seen.
Which, considering how you lived when you were in college, is saying something. Please don't get into how real human Nick lived.
Who's that wannabe Nick Fury?
That is Dr. Shirazawa. He let them in. Okada asks, what are you working on? Shirazawa replies, nothing. These days the government pays me not to invent things. Okada says, why? Shirazawa says, sorry, can't talk about it. And Okada leaves. Emiko stays behind, intending to break things off. Dr. S says, before you say anything, come with me to the set of Beekman's World. I've got something really cool to show you. It turns out to be one of those fake seashells that you put in your fish tank that slowly dissolves so you only have to feed your fish every couple of weeks. He says, "Watch what happens when I put this one in the tank." The water starts to bubble. Then we fade to black and there's something we don't get to see. She runs off screaming. He tries to apologize for frightening her, but then makes her promise to never reveal what she saw to anyone. Once she gets home, Ogata and his friend ask what frightened her. She says, "Sorry, classified." Ogata says, "Okie dokie, I guess we'll go home now." And then, yep, a Gojira attack. The entire area undergoes some unplanned urban renewal. Some courtesy of Gojira, other bits direct from the Japanese military. Professor Yamane says, maybe don't flash a light in the giant lizard's face. But the G-Man goes on with his night. Burning cities and smashing bridges must burn a lot of calories because he eats a locomotive. Look, I've heard some people like trains. Tom Hanks, David Tennant, Tor Parsons.
But they don't like them with hot sauce and melted cheese.
Nacho train. Yum, yum, yum.
And you guys say that my cravings for yoo-hoo and ho-hos are weird. Anyway, now the international community won't take no for an answer. But thanks to damaged ports and airfields, they'll have a hell of a time getting there. And once they do, the Japanese say, "Fine, you can help. But it's not going to be like last time. We're in charge. And what we really want your help with is building a giant electric fence." Meanwhile, the Japanese army is busy guarding, well, everything. Bridges, tunnels, train stations, even this cornfield. Everyone else is put in charge of managing the evacuation or guarding the fence. Of course, Emiko and her family aren't getting out of town. Dr. Yamane is still on his, "Oh, they can't kill Gojira. We still have so much to learn from him" kick. Ogata says, "I don't think we need to learn how to die. I think it just sorta happens when he spits atomic flame in our face." Yamane says, "Get out of my house." Emiko says, "Don't take it personally. He's still kinda mad about the whole Dr. Shirazawa thing." The Japanese military shines a giant spotlight on Gojira. This makes him think, "Oh, that's where you guys went. I was hoping to get in another rampage today." So, any of you want to take a guess on how well that electric fence worked?
Not very well, since it looks like Godzilla ordered some human hibachi.
Everything burns real good, even the lake.
I thought he was in Japan, not Ohio.
To make things worse, all those photographers are using flash to get their shots, so bye-bye Tokyo Tower. Dr. Shirazawa sees this in his window and thinks, "Great, now everyone's going to come looking to me for help. This is not my problem." The Air Force go out to fight Gojira. All their missiles and both of their planes blow up. But all that mayhem does is convince him to take another nap. The few surviving pilots have nowhere to land because there's no city left. It looks like Hiroshima.
Think that's kind of the point?
Emiko goes to talk to Ogata. She says, "Remember how I said Dr. Shirazawa didn't show me anything? I wasn't exactly being honest." Ogata says, "It wasn't his was it?" Emiko says, "No, it was his latest invention." Then we get a flashback. Shirazawa puts the fish feeder tablet into the tank, and the water starts to bubble. He says this little baby can break the bonds of any substance with oxygen in it, leaving behind this thick slime. Only it is so dangerous that, apart from showing you in a futile attempt to get you to bang me, it should never, ever be used. She asks even if something like Gojira is using equally deadly force on us. He says even then, if used irresponsibly, well, does the phrase "I am become death, the destroyer of worlds" mean anything to you? She says there's no way to get you to change your mind. He says nope. Once word of my invention got out, there'd be no way to control its use. She says without it, there might not be a way to stop Gojira from killing us. He says, do you remember that incident, a decade ago? The one where I lost my eye. She says, you mean the war? The occupation is over. You can mention the war in a negative light in movies now. He says, yeah, the war. Don't you think the U.S. military had similar conversations with J. Robert Oppenheimer? Saying we should use my oxygen destroyer is basically the same as saying using a nuclear bomb is okay, as long as it isn't being dropped on us. Then we flash forward. Emiko and Ogata go see Shirazawa. She explains that she let the secret slip. They need the oxygen destroyer, or everybody is gonna die. Shirazawa hasn't changed his mind. He goes on and on about how the international military-industrial complex will fight wars to get their hands on this technology. He will not be responsible for the loss of more human life. The world has seen enough of that. Ogata and Shirazawa fight over the machine. Shirazawa beats the shit out of him. He looks over at Emiko and sees how this affects her. He changes his mind. He says he will give them the oxygen destroyer with 3 caveats. First, they only make enough to take out Gojira. 2, they burn all his notes. 3, he has to be on the team that deploys them. Then we get a nice little scene that we don't see a lot of in kaiju movies. A traditional Shinto memorial service for all the victims of the Gojira disasters. I noticed some people this feels like padding, but unlike the native dancers, it feels like it belongs in this movie, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. Then it's off to the Navy. Ogata and Dr. S are fighting over who should go down to deploy the devices. Shirazawa insists on going alone. Ogata says, no. When they sent only one ship to recover the first ship, things didn't go so well. 2 guys means double the chance of victory. Shirazawa is a dick about it. But everyone knows he doesn't want to die standing next to the guy who stole his girlfriend, so whatever. They put on their diving suits and go for a swim. They deploy the devices and Gojira spots them. It's too late. The countdown has already begun. The Navy pull them up, starting with Ogata. Shirazawa calls on the radio and says, someone has to stay behind to make sure these devices work. If something goes wrong, I'm the only one who can fix them. Okada says, you're not just saying that because after we burned your nose, the only way to replicate those devices is in your head, are you? Shirazawa says, of course not. The fact that once we take this son of a bitch down, any hope the governments of the world have of abusing this technology dies with it is just an added bonus. Okada says, okie dokie. Gojira and Shirazawa die slow and painful deaths. And everyone cheers. Well, everyone but Dr. Yamane, and Emiko, and Ogata, And all those sailors,
Which leaves.
nobody? Dr. Yamani says, so we can't make any more oxygen destroyers? Wait, did we make sure that Gojira was the last of his kind? If one of them can survive, evolutionarily speaking, there's no possible way there could be another one out there, right? Am I right? And that's it. That's the movie. Okay, I made some harsh jokes in this one, but damn is it good. Not that the American cut is bad or anything, but the Japanese version is a biting social commentary. It's talking about a lot of things that still linger in our world. The horrors of nuclear war, the futility of revenge, the necessity of holding on to our humanity in spite of the fact, or maybe even because, our enemies might not share it. And parts of it are legitimately scary. It was a daring movie. It criticized the American occupation of Japan. Yes, that was made legal in April 1952 when the US military occupation ended. However, it was still somewhat of a cultural taboo, especially in a science fiction film which was seen as a genre that mainly appealed to children. Examining the effect the war had on society was relegated to Japanese art house films, not the equivalent of a summer blockbuster. That's why Gojira is considered one of the greatest giant monster movies ever made. Its only real competition was 1933's King Kong. There's another thing to consider. A lot of the later Godzilla movies take a lot of shit for bad special effects. Maybe because a lot of the visual tricks they were using worked better in black and white, or because they had a lot more money to work with. You don't have that problem here. For its time, the effects were pretty incredible. They hold up against American movies from the same time that were made on much larger budgets.
It looks like we've reached the end of international incidents, so it's ranking time.
This is going to be harder than ranking the 4 great franchises.
Why is that? You said most of those were inoffensively mediocre.
Which is true. The problem with the foreign material is that all of it was really, really good. Still, one of them has to be the worst. That dishonor goes to The Red Queen Show. I love Doctor Who, but William Hartnell is far from my favorite Doctor, so it gets the second spot from the bottom. I was a film student, so I'm supposed to worship the ground George Millay walked on. And I do. Trip to the Moon is a great film, and as innovative as it was, and it invented a genre, it still gets the number 2 slot. Gojira took everything that Millay built and ran with it. It added a dimension of metaphor and moral complexity that, while it didn't invent a genre, it redefined it to keep it relevant. That seems fair.
So guys, not a big deal, but we've got a little problem. Remember that kaiju warning?
Huh? Initiate escape plan movie 81321 Iota. Authorization Whiskey Tango Foxtrot Delta Uniform Delta Echo. Execute.
going to transfer my consciousness to the backup point, put them simulated reality to keep them sane while their molecular patterns keep going through the buffer. Assuming we survive this, next time is either going to be 4th of July special or something based on a book.
What did Mr. Hedgehog do to deserve that? No like and subscribe, no like and subscribe, no like and subscribe. Well, in that case, he should go to patreon.com/parodyerrorfilms and become a patron today.